Billionaire from Alex, your boy Monde. I'm back in the building. Quite sure you guys have missed me. But man, what an honor. The kind of guest that we have today, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be worth the wait. I'm back. Quite sure you guys missed me. Thank you for coming back to the channel once again, guys. You do know that you need to subscribe, like, comment, share this video, because the guest that I have, man, is going to be holding it down. I've got the one and only Mr. Wiseman Zondi, one of the top 40 most inspiring students at UKZN. Once upon a time, he gave me his bio. I actually don't want to read it just yet. I want the man himself to actually just give us an introduction or his own personal bio, not the one that I go. Mr. Wiseman, how are you, bro?
Oh man, I'm good.
Good to see you, man. Yeah. This, ladies and gentlemen, you know, is monde, our sponsor. If you've got any water inquiries, make sure you do get in touch with us. The details are right below in the description. This is also a gift to our guest, Mr. Wiseman,
thank you
for coming through to the show, man. This is how we say thank you to you. monde, proudly South African old band.
Love this.
Man, enjoy it.
Thank you.
Have some good H2O,
I
as
will,
some would say. Yeah. So I just want you to quickly introduce yourself to our guests, and not me blowing your horn, but rather you blow your own horn for yourself, man.
I'm Wiseman Zondi. I'm a writer. I'm an activist, occasional academic.
Okay.
I studied at UKZN for 4 years. Did my undergrad degree in philosophy, politics, and law. Did an honors degree in philosophy. Earned them both cum laude. I earned the Rhodes Scholarship. Got a chance to go to Oxford.
Hey, man.
I have a Master of
the
Science.
The one in the UK. Let's just get that clear.
Yo,
the one in
that
the UK.
One. The one in the UK.
Hey.
The one. One of the best in the world, man.
One of the best in the world.
That's the one.
I told you, this is why the guest is going to make it worth it for you to wait, you know? Yeah.
And a Master of Science in Comparative Social Policy.
Hey.
I'm an analyst. I write about political and social issues.
Yeah.
I've written in the Daily Maverick, Mail and Guardian, written for other publications around the world. I have a blog as well, Wise Musings. Yeah, I'm a very interesting cat.
Interesting cat, man. That's very, very interesting. But I just want to get right into it, man. I introduced you as one of the most inspiring students at UKZN.
Yeah.
So how do you actually get chosen for such, or what criteria did you have to go through or follow in order to be doing that with regards to obviously your studies at that time, which you just mentioned?
Yeah, you basically apply. It's basically a process in which you apply, or another person, sees you and thinks, okay, this person could be, could fit into this, and then they select who they select. As for myself, I got selected for academic excellence and for leadership because I was also part of, student politics, which can be very controversial.
I
was doing those kinds of things, man.
Fees must fall.
Where
were you during that time?
Well, that was after my era.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you went on earlier. Okay.
Yeah. I came directly afterwards. Yeah. When people said, okay, free education. When Jacob Zuma was like, okay, free education. I was one of the first.
Okay.
Right after that. Yeah.
And what's your take on just that? Now that you're done with your studies, I should presume you're done with your studies at UKZN and obviously Oxford. And now, what's your take? Because you spoke about how you actually studied politics and philosophy. So I basically want to know, in terms of that being a policy as part of our constitution, to say there must be free education. What's your take on all that fees must fall movement and just free education in our country?
In one word, I would agree with it. I think the kind of society we want to create is a society in which people are free to be educated and to contribute to the economy of our country. I think one of the reasons for our high unemployment rate is that people just don't have enough skills. It's not necessarily a lack of jobs, it's a lack of people with the experience and the expertise to get into the kind of well-paying jobs that would be great for our country. And so I think any policy that attempts to create a situation where people can get educated and they're able to contribute to the country is a good one. So I'm fully in support of that. If I was there during Fees Must Fall, I would have been on the front line.
that is interesting. You're saying you would have taken the rubber bullets there.
Man, the
cops and all.
It's a sacrifice.
You'd have been throwing the rocks there, points.
I mean, not to that extent.
Yeah.
I don't think of myself as a violent person, but I think in certain
You're a violent person.
I don't think of myself as a violent person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think in certain circumstances, sometimes the ends justify the means, but hey.
But Dr. Jordan Peterson says a man must be capable of violence, or he must be a dangerous person. So, what's your take on that? Since you say that you're not someone who deems themselves as a violent person.
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to protect
and
yourself.
Plus, you're an activist. So,
yeah, obviously, when you're an activist, there are situations that are not great. That you enter in and you just, okay, what do I do now? And sometimes, you have to do what you have to do. But for me, violence is always a solution of last resort.
Okay.
Even politically, in my political life, I have always thought that, okay, we will try everything we can. And when push comes to shove, when we see that there's no other solution, maybe it's time to take up arms. Like, the ANC, that wasn't something that just happened.
Yeah.
It was a process.
Yeah.
They were like, okay, our backs are against the wall, so let's do this.
Man, but I just want to segue quickly into your personal. I want us to come back to the issue of skills and unemployment and just the economic policies back in our country.
Sure.
As you were growing up, you're saying you're a writer, you're an activist, and you're a researcher. I just want to know, I knew that most of the people, or TV, or it was something linked to the arts, or Ebola. Or you know. So you're saying that you're a writer and a researcher and an activist. Now I'm a business person. I'm thinking, So I want to know, as you were growing up, did you know that you always wanted to be something along the lines of what you're doing now?
In a way, yes, but also no. I also grew up in rural areas, rural KZN.
Sure.
So in Changa.
It's
right between Peter and
Shout out to Changa now.
Yeah.
There's your homeboy doing the most share on all things live TV.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I grew up in that kind of environment. I was raised by my grandparents. Obviously, there wasn't much in the way of opportunities. I didn't know what was out there, but I was just okay. I think something, I write it down. Think something, I write it down. So I was just always writing, always reading. I was just a voracious reader. I was fortunate enough to go to a school which really nurtured those talents and made me think that I could do something along these lines. I could be a writer and have this be the thing that I do.
Sure.
Then later on, as I began to grow older, see the world around me, I decided to be like, okay, actually, I'm interested in politics. Politics is something I'm interested in. Started reading about that, started writing about that, and before I knew it, it was like, okay, I'm gaining a bit of a platform. People are following me. People are interested in what I'm saying.
Sure.
And it was then that I decided to be like, okay, maybe this is something that I can do. So it wasn't really a decision. It was just a series of steps where, at each point I got that affirmation, I got that encouragement that, I could do this. This is something that I could do. This is, this is an avenue which I could, go to, and obviously seeing other people, other intellectuals, in the country doing great things. I was like, I want to be that guy. I want to do what that guy does. And I've been fortunate enough to have had those opportunities and to make the most out of them.
Very interesting, man. Now I want us to go back. There's these woke people, should I say, on social media. These clever people that tell you that I don't need a degree in life. I made it without a matric. I'm a millionaire at 21. Or a degree is just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And we're speaking about skills now. You're saying that students should be able to be afforded that opportunity to go and study so that they can gain the right skills that are needed by the marketplace, man. I just want to know, what are your sentiments around all that nonsensical agreement of saying you don't need school to be successful, yet you find the same artist or the same sports person needs money to be contributed in their life later on in their years when they are no longer the biggest thing in the country, when they're no longer the superstar that they once were, but you hear them saying, I don't need education, or I don't have a matric and I still made it. What's your sentiments around that now that you're a learned person, you're a researcher, you're a writer as well, you're an intellectual, a very young, dynamic intellectual in our country. And I want you to just expound on that in terms of what kind of education perhaps should we be gunning for as young people in this age of fourth industrial revolution, AI and so forth, and the sentiments of I really don't need a degree to be successful in life. Like I said, I'm a business person, I'm hearing writer, researcher, how does this guy really make money? So I just want you to expand on that. Education what's your take on people saying you don't really need it? The kind of skills we need to have, or maybe the policies that need to change around education.
I think more than anything, I think we do need education. I think
you say we don't need it.
We do need it.
We do need education.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe not schooling per se, but we do need education.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think schooling serves a good purpose in that I think it teaches you critical thinking. I mean, this is in the best instances. It teaches you critical thinking.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to learn. You interact with other people who might be in your field, who might be useful to you later. Like, imagine you studying with somebody who's going to be a minister one day or something.
Yeah. Oh, I would love that, man.
Yeah,
Tenders.
Well.
Supply them with amounts of Delu in their meetings.
Yeah. I mean, so I think schooling serves those purposes. I think that could be great, just for networking purposes, just for learning how to learn. Like, I think that area is quite under-resourced. I don't think we invest too much in that. I don't think we teach people how to learn. I think we teach people, okay, this is what you need. This is the theory of this guy. This is the theory of that woman. And it's never about, how do you think? What do you think about these things? Reflect. What do you think about this? Is it useful? Is it not useful? Is it useful in this context, in that context? And so I would like for the schooling system to actually incorporate more of that, especially
critical thinking.
Exactly,
skills,
especially in
that's what we're lacking.
Yeah. Like I would like, ideally, I would like there to be a system in which somebody leaves matric with those skills, because not everybody has the opportunity or the willingness to go to university. But I think it's important. I mean, I might be biased as somebody who studied philosophy. I obviously am a fan of critical thinking.
I can see some of my entrepreneurs already. They're like, this guy's an intellectual, but what do philosophers bring? What solutions do they have? What problem-solving abilities do they have into society?
Yeah, I mean, I think in a way it is important for philosophers to learn other skills. Like, for instance, if somebody studies philosophy at undergrad level at university, maybe pair that up with something interesting, maybe something like science, maybe something like microbiology, maybe some, whatever it is that, has their interests, so they can contribute in that way. I think anybody who studied philosophy can actually contribute to whatever field that they want, provided that they've learned enough and that they can enter that field. Because obviously there are barriers to entry in every field, and sometimes those doors do need to be knocked down in the sense of, okay, but this person has got the chops, this person has got the abilities, do they require this certification, in that sense? And so it is important for us to educate ourselves. Doesn't need to be in the classroom or in the lecture halls. I mean, you could do that. It's far more structured. It's easier for you to study something when just right in front of you and you have a deadline or you need to submit or anything like that. But I think it's far more interesting when a person says, you know what, I am going to read books, I'm going to talk to people, I'm going to educate myself on this topic, without anybody pushing me to do so, just because of my curiosity, and critically engage with those things, not just, somebody told me this and so I believe it, interrogate those things,
question it.
Exactly. It's very important.
Wow, man. Quite interesting, man. So I want us to get into your activism work right now. I know you've got a blog as well. You've done a lot of activism in terms of the HIV/AIDS people, and also the LGBTQI plus. I just want to make sure I get my vocabulary right.
Yeah.
Also mental health awareness.
Yeah.
What is your activism about, man? And what are the kind of works that you do? And maybe if you're still busy, where can people actually get hold of you? Or what are the links maybe that they can actually click on their gadgets so that they can get more information about it? Because I think that's very important as young people. As much as we cry about opportunities, I think it's very important that we get engaged with society's issues and we play an important role by actually helping society and becoming a better society as a whole, and not just as individuals to say, I've got my own apartment and I'm doing well, I don't need to contribute, or everyone for themselves, So what kind of work are you doing currently, and what you've done before, and what are you also still planning to do as a young researcher and writer?
I mean, I think most of my activism is rooted in, personal identity. I think there's this phrase that is very problematic or very controversial.
Yeah.
Identity politics.
Hey.
You know, people.
It's a big thing currently, man.
Exactly. Like people think identity politics, and already there's an image that comes to mind. You know, it's a very charged image. But for me, it just means, hey, this is who I am. This is what I advocate for.
Sure.
This is what I will stand for if I need to stand for something, which I think everybody needs to stand for something.
True.
Even if it's not in the sense of regular activism like I do, but just in the sense of, okay, when issues like this come to the forefront, when political parties are about to campaign, I'm going to read their manifestos and, okay, do they incorporate this particular thing? Do they talk about mental health? Do they talk about these particular issues? Do they talk about the LGBTI community? What do they do? Are their policies sound? Are their policies very fair? Those kinds of things. And so, all of my activism has been rooted in that. I joined the LGBTI forum at UKZN, Peter Maritzburg campus. I was there doing that work, maybe engaging students, letting them know that, queer people exist and we exist and we're just doing things our own way. We're not forcing anybody to live any kind of lifestyle. We just want acceptance in our own sphere. Like, we want to do our own thing. And we don't necessarily want interference and homophobia and transphobia. All of those things are just, they are just really unnecessary to build in the kind of society we want to build. We want everybody to feel free and included in the society. And I suffer from mental health issues, and so that's been a very important foray for me as well, to just be like, okay, how do I make sure that other people don't fall into the same traps that I was, because I think my journey, which included gap years, not being able to go to school due to financial difficulties, that does a number on you, mentally, in terms of, okay, like, am I good enough? Is this going to happen for me? There are a lot of, internal struggles that you face. And so it's just a matter of not just taking care of people and saying, okay, go to a psychologist or whatever, or let me listen to you. But do we have the infrastructure to make sure that politically we can make sure that people are in employment and to make things happen so that even when they face these struggles, they're able to take care of themselves in terms of getting medication for themselves, knowing where to go to, that kind of thing. So, I mean, this may be showing my bias as well, but I think that most of the struggles we face in society have a political element to it, and can be traced back to, okay, cool. Politically, things are not going well, and that has an effect on people, on their daily lives. Everywhere you go, there is a political element to everything you do.
True.
To use
politics are everywhere.
Exactly. Like, the personal is political. As in your personal life, whatever you do in your personal life, it is affected by the political structures around you. And so we need to improve the political structures around us to make sure that our personal lives flourish and we are able to all live dignified lives.
What do you say to someone who says, I don't care about politics as long as I pay my rent? As long as my kids are in a big school, and I really don't care, A lot of young people are just throwing that around with one of the possibly our most important elections coming through within less than a year. A lot of, I don't care, as long as I'm studying, I'm happy. Or what's your take on that, man? Because it seems like you're very passionate about this, man.
I am, because people may not be interested in politics, but politics is interesting in
you. You don't care about politics, but politics cares about you.
Exactly.
That's because I was also like that. Like, I'm just gonna make my money and do whatever. But I was like, oh snap! There's actually laws in my country that can govern the certain industry that I want to be in.
Absolutely.
So this nonsense of I don't care about politics. Guess what? I'm gonna meet politics everywhere.
Exactly.
And I mean, politics are everywhere. There's family politics. There's workplace politics. There's church politics. Religion politics. So it's everywhere around us. Just a case of actually being conscious. As young people. So I always want to know from you. What's your take on that? On like young people just throwing the towel with regards to politics? Oh no, it's too complicated. Or I don't really care. Or maybe them having misconstrued perspectives around politics, man.
I mean, I think politics has become such a swear word. Like, I feel like a person comes in like, I'm so-and-so and I'm a politician. You're like, okay, this one, exactly, they're entrepreneurs, they are, milking it, they're stealing from the system. One of those things. And for me, it's just, I think we need to change the way that politicians are viewed in society. Or even if we don't enter politics, formal politics as politics, politicians, but we need to be engaged in the political process, because at the end of the day, the country is ours. We are going to be in this country like 50 years from now.
Sure,
we are going to have control of this country, and the fate of the country is in our hands.
But some of our friends are leaving, man. They're like, I'm sick and tired of this nonsense. I'd rather go there where you were in London. Or I'm going to Australia. That's a fair one. I'm going to the USA. I'm just going somewhere. Canada. For better, but I'm not going to stand this nonsense. Our country's in political decay. There's a lot of social unrest. Most of our friends are leaving, man. And you say you're going to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, I do understand the impulse to leave. It is very hard to be a working professional, or even a poor person, actually, in South Africa.
Sure.
It is difficult to be a person in South Africa in 2023. It is really difficult. It is very hard. There's so many struggles, you might not have electricity for certain hours of the day, you might not have water, your garbage doesn't get picked up. There are so many struggles that one faces, and worst case scenario, you don't have food to eat, and it's just a matter of, when you've had enough, you're just like, okay, let me look for the next best opportunity wherever it takes me. And I don't begrudge those people, but at the same time, for me, my personal take was always that this is my motherland. I was born here. I hope to die here. I hope to create something great that will outlive me. I hope to see this country be the country in which I envision it to be. A country that is fair, a country that is equal, a country that offers opportunity to every single person, where things are not rigged in favor of certain people because of who they are or who they're associated with.
Sure.
Like, this country is ours, and we need to take the steps necessary to make it the country that we want it to be. The country cannot be ruled by people who don't care, or people who are going to die in 20 years. That's not their country anymore. They are doing as they please because they have the opportunity to. But we also have the opportunity to say, okay, let us roll up our sleeves, let us get our hands dirty, and let's make this country work. Let's make this country happen. Like, let us do the nitty-gritty, That's what I've been passionate about. So that was why it was very important for me to come back after the Oxford experience.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be part of that change. I didn't want to scream from a first world country about how, terrible the country is. It is, I think, the absolute height of hypocrisy to sit in an ivory tower and, talk about how terrible things are.
The ocean's view out there.
Similar
to the ones we have, but there's no ocean here. It's trees.
It's trees, So, it's that kind of thing, It felt very hypocritical and very, it felt very distasteful to have been nurtured from this country. Then go to another country, make that country
better. And add value there.
My value, I want to add my value here. This is my country, this is my land, Like, there are lots of folks out here, young people growing up, and they deserve a country that works for them. And any way in which I can personally contribute, man.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I really, really respect that, man.
Thank you, man.
I like that, man. But I just want to close the segment on politics, and then we can focus on your experience at Oxford, and we're going to play a nice short game in the end. We're not too serious here on this channel.
Sure.
Man. So I just want to know from you, we are told that we have the best the constitution, rather. Institution, it's cool. We are told that we have the best constitution in the world.
Yeah.
Man. I'll make you president right now, Mr. Wiseman. Top 3 policies you would change that would benefit the youth of South Africa now. I hope I'm not putting you in the corner right there.
I have to think about that.
No, it's okay. I just want to know. But it has to be things that would genuinely benefit the youth right now. Close to 60% unemployment, a lot of unrest. Youth is facing some mental issues caused by, obviously, some of these issues with a long range of other issues, lack of access to unemployment, lack of access to funding for their businesses, their ideas. Top 3 policies you would actually change in South Africa that would benefit the youth.
I think, first of all, is synergy between the ministries. Maybe that would mean demolishing some ministries altogether. Like, I find it very weird that to apply for NSFAS, for instance, you have to go jump through hoops. And I'm just like, the information is available there with the Department of Social Development. Why why aren't they working with the Department of Basic Education and the Department of Higher Education? Why isn't there synergy in that front? That would make the process easier and get more people into institutions of higher learning. That is just one of the first things that we can do. And the second thing we can do is just, cut off the red tape when it comes to employment.
Yeah.
I think...
And what's that red tape, by the way?
I think the red tape is just the emphasis on certification and not enough emphasis on what skills can you provide. Can you come into an interview and show us what you can do rather than show us a certificate that you have, which obviously a certificate is useful. It's like a shortcut. You have learned these particular things, but that cuts out, an entire group of people who might have the skills but don't have the capacity to show it.
Your boy Elon Musk's rolls around like that. He doesn't care about the certification or what degree you have. But anyways, I was just putting it out there. Got some interesting thoughts about Elon Musk with him. So we'll chop it up in a short while. Yeah. So integration of ministries, red tape around employment. Last one.
I think the last one would be just to create centers of where youth can congregate and do things. I think more than anything these days, there isn't enough, or there aren't enough places where the youth can just go and be the youth. I mean, there are libraries, but libraries are quiet places. Like, think about a place in the townships or the rural areas where young people can go after school, do their homework, sit, work on projects, play sports, do all of those things, just get involved in things. And just get their hands dirty, doing things and being active in their communities, nurturing their skills, I think why many people just decide to give up hope and, they aren't in education, they aren't in employment, they're doing nothing with their lives is because they might not know what their passions are. And I think what would be great is if they had this one place which they could go to and just, what's out here? What can I do? What can I try? What do I think I'm passionate in? Am I passionate in sports? Okay, there's a basketball court. There's a rugby field. What can I try? Those kinds of things. I think that would be beneficial in just giving people a purpose. I'm always reluctant to say that the youth has no purpose. The youth is not focused,
lazy.
Yeah, it's just, for me, it just seems so incongruent to what I actually see. That's not what I see. I see people who are passionate, people who want to make their lives better, but just don't know how to. Imagine a place where people can just be like, okay, here is, a list of possible careers you could go into. You'd have, a guest every week coming in and answering your questions about this particular thing.
Exactly.
I think we suffer so much from a lack of imagination. What can, what is possible? I think we've just restricted it to, okay, we know that there are libraries that are necessary. Okay, we'll build a library in this particular place, so that's it. It's like, but there's more. Let's give more. Let's think more. Let's be innovative. The world is changing around us, and we're staying the same. And I think that's a problem because I don't think that we're keeping in step with the world, and I think we'll be left behind as things continue to evolve and progress, and we're staying in the same place.
You heard it there, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to know from you, viewers, what are the top 3 policies you would change in South Africa to make this country a better place for the young people, most especially? I want us to go into your experience at Oxford, man. The best university in the world. Number one, how was it just getting on the flight? That feeling of I'm actually going, this thing is actually happening. Your experience on campus there in Oxford. And would you say that like a lot of young people should maybe travel abroad to go and study or just to see the world around? Because traveling also expands your imagination. Absolutely. You spoke about lack of imagination. Traveling expands that. You get to learn about new cultures, new people, new ways of living there. So just share your experience of studying at Oxford and just what can young people maybe learn from other countries as well. Just the whole traveling experience of learning different cultures and meeting new people and so forth.
I think going into Oxford is a very surreal experience. Yeah. Especially for a South African, young black South African who never really thought that could be an option even.
From UKZN.
Exactly. Sure. It seemed impossible for me me to ever have that happen to me, and there I was, experiencing that. So it was a very surreal experience, but a very beautiful experience as well. I think I met so many smart people. Like, I think the beautiful thing about Oxford is that everybody is smart.
Yeah.
Like, you will go anywhere around Oxford and there will be somebody you can chat to, and you're having high-level conversations about, anything, and people are just so well-versed in everything. Like, you could find a science student speaking to you about politics and knowing all of the great political theorists. And, I loved that. That was just so beautiful to just be in the space where everybody's interested in everything. And, having, engaging conversations, and everybody is just, feeding off of each other and making each other better. I think sometimes it can be overwhelming as a South African to enter that space, and I know myself, I faced a lot of intellectual doubts when I first got in, because everybody's smart,
Yeah.
So,
best, man. They take the cream of the crop everywhere around the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think you can enter those spaces and not feel too good about yourself and be like, okay, but I'm not getting this, But I think that Oxford is a very supportive university in that way.
Sure.
In that I think they offer a lot of supports in the sense of you can't really fail, and you can really do well if you commit to the process.
It's proper, man. I like that, man. Guys, keep pushing for your dreams. Maybe you might end up at Oxford or Stanford or Harvard, wherever it may be in the world, man. Just keep pushing for those dreams. And in closing, man, Wiseman, what a great interview. I want us to tone it down a bit now.
Right.
Enough with the policies, the philosophy. It's called Your Favorite in 10 Seconds. So I'm going to throw out a name.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily need to be your favorite. It could be our viewers' favorite. I'm just going to throw out a name, and within 10 seconds, you need to just tell me what you think, your honest opinions about that. I'm going to name some philosophers, political figures, political parties as well. And I'm just going to throw it in there, man. You need to tell me within 10 seconds what you think about that person, that organization, that party.
10 seconds.
Within 10 seconds.
Yeah, it was a short amount of time, but
it's a game, man. It's a game. It's about winning, man. Within 10 seconds. And the first one, I'm throwing in Karl Marx.
Interesting.
That's all. Interesting, and I laugh.
Yeah.
Okay. Karl Marx. I don't know if you know a philosopher called Sheikh Anta Diop.
I have no idea who that is.
Okay, it's a very interesting philosopher there from West Africa.
Okay,
do you know Chinua Achebe?
I do.
10 seconds, your favorite.
Amazing author. I wish he was still alive.
Wish he was still alive, okay? Dantalax.
Not my favorite person.
I'm tempted to ask why. Julius Malema.
Populist of note. Flip-flopper.
Hey, my God, it seems like part 2 is loading here. This podcast.
Are you done?
10 seconds is gone, my brother. 10 seconds is gone. It seems like you were deep in thought. But I think part 2 is loading. You're saying a lot of interesting things. And there's quite a number of things. I need it back for the political segment. Maybe we're going to have a round table, because we know in South Africa there's just been 7 political parties that have come together saying they want to unseat. I won't say much, man. I'll bring you through again.
Lots of opinions.
Yeah, I want us to talk about that. But another young leader is Andile Mngutama.
Not really as famous as I think he wanted to be. Interesting mind, but rubs people the wrong way.
Dr. Sizwe Mpofu Walsh.
Fantastic mind. Read his books. Love to engage with him. Representing Oxford.
Representing Oxford. Okay. Gayton McKenzie. I told you, man, it's the hot seat. 4 seconds. That laugh has taken 4 seconds away.
Xenophobe, anti-constitution, not a person I'd ever vote for.
Hey! The ANC.
Wouldn't vote for them. Corrupt. Terrible at governing.
Yeah.
The worst.
The worst.
The worst.
If.
Populist, demagogues, don't trust Julius.
Hey! The demagogues.
Flip-flop of note. I don't think you want to let go of the EFF leadership.
Action SA.
Xenophobe.
is interesting. FF plus, freedom from
racist. That's all I can say.
Patriotic Alliance.
Anti-constitution, and I love the constitution, so not a fan.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to stop it right there, man. Thank you so much, Mr. Wiseman Zondi, billionaire from Alex, signing out with a billionaire who's been to Oxford, who's now giving back here in South Africa, doing great things, man. Let's fetch our dreams. Let's chase those goals as young people. Let's get involved in our communities, in our schools. Let's do the most as young people. Fetch that dream of yours, man. Billionaire from Alex, thank you so much for watching. See you soon.